So, hello everyone. Thanks to all for being here. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Saeli. I'm representative of Medinea On Air Pedagogical Committee at the Academy of Music, University of Ljubljana. This webinar is part of the third session of Medinea On Air, an online and free program of exchange of knowledge, co-founded by Erasmus Plus and 6 Medinea member institutions from France, Italy, Malta, Portugal, Slovenia, and Turkey. So today, I'm really glad to welcome our wonderful speakers, Anna Dolžan, concertmeister of the Slovenian Philharmonic Orchestra, and then Matej Grahek, principal flutist of the Slovenia Philharmonic Orchestra.
Hi.
And Franc Kosem, principal trumpeter of the Slovenia Philharmonic Orchestra. So we are having today at 2 o'clock this webinar, and then we are continuing at 3 o'clock another webinar, also talking about orchestra audition, together with musician from Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra and Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra. So you're welcome to join us also on that webinar. So this webinar is going to be around 40 minutes, and please feel free to interact by pressing the raise your hand button and waiting to be given the floor to talk, or if you don't want to be so exposed, just write a question in the chat. So I will just check it time to time and to read your questions to ask them. So let's start now. So the first question I would like to ask you three, how long have you been playing in the orchestra? So maybe Anna can start.
Ladies first.
Yeah.
I started about 5 years ago, to be specific, in April 18 as a tutti player. And then since October 2018, I took the position of concertmaster. I'm quite fresh.
Thanks. And how about you, Matej?
Hi, I'm here in the Slovenian Philharmonic Orchestra. I'm principal flutist from 97th year. That means 25, I think 26th year already. Yeah. Right away after I graduated from Ljubljana Academy.
I see. And how about you, Franc?
I'm in the orchestra since 2004, and so this is my 18th season, and it was just 1 year before I graduated from academy, I got the principal position.
I see. So all of you quite quickly get the position in the orchestra. It seems like this. So the next question I would ask you, so there are usually 3 rounds in an audition for orchestra. And do you have any specifics that you are expecting and looking from candidates on each round? So maybe now Matej can start.
Yeah, the first round is usually they're playing Mozart, right? And in this first round, we do like sorting candidates. The perfect round has to be really, really like not saying perfect, but as perfect as possible, you know. And then every candidate should do this audition like by steps, right? First, second, and third, and every round should be better than the previous one. So Mozart is very important, but even more important is then the second round, and I think the most important when you get or you don't get audition is round 3, where there are experts, right, from the orchestra. So I think you should build your energy, your everything when we're doing the audition.
what do you think, Franc?
Sorry, what was the question? No, about the rounds. Me as a trumpet player, I was in several auditions, and I was always listening to the sound of the instrument, and then in the peaks or in the difficult moments, how flexible is the candidate? How is feeling comfortable? Try to hear this, and through each round, if you hear mistakes, is no problem. Some moments, but overall stability and precision. So no lousy playing. Yeah, this is most important. What I try to listen to the candidates and be positive as possible to the last round, to the final round of orchestra excerpts, which is the most important, I think, where you can really show in short amounts of music a lot of diversity and quality.
I see. Thank you. And then Anna, what do you think?
Well, I agree with the gentleman. I mean, it should be built up with whatever they said. For me, if the specific question would be what I'm looking for in certain rounds, the first one would be stability and just not perfection, but somehow that you are able to play good. You are anyway behind the curtain, so we don't know what's going on. The second, which is for us the romantic concerto, is I think the performance somehow, to see that you are actually able to perform and how you do in the style and you show your musicality and so on. And the third one, which I agree would be the most important, is somehow to show the variety of your musical ability so that we see a difference between Mozart or Strauss, that it's not just played through, but that maybe we actually feel the pieces that we just played the excerpts from. That would be.
Yeah. So actually all of you said that the third round is really like the really deciding who is going to win.
Yeah.
I think so.
Also, the problem is, can I talk?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Also, the problem is usually that the first round is usually very short, right? In more because of the number of candidates, it's usually short Mozart, just maybe 50, 60 bars. And in these bars, you need to show real stability, right? And I think it's the most stressful round, the first one.
Yeah. So do you have anything that you dislike? Which candidate do often in an audition? Anything that you are disturbed or you're like, again, you know? What do you think, Franc?
Lack of precision in the orchestra excerpts. I mean, also in the pieces before, but when it comes to the orchestra excerpts, it's very specific job. It's you must love it, you must know it, you should be prepared, and you should be able to deliver all these extracts of big, enormous pieces. So when the candidates obviously play out of idea or out of obvious without preparation, good preparation, then no, there's no place. You should apply again.
Understand, yeah. And Anna, what do you think?
Also what Franc said, but maybe on top of that, rushing or doing some not so logical or not musical accents on places that, well, there's just no sense that we hear them. And maybe because sometimes we ask a candidate to, I don't know, play it differently or slower or something like that, the lack of flexibility. So we just see that the candidate is often just learned to play in a certain way. But when you have a conductor in front of you, you have to adapt to that. So maybe this flexibility would be useful sometimes.
And you, Matej, what do you think?
Yeah, lately I was a member of for a few times like a member, right? And I noticed, especially with the strings players, usually they're playing the first round the best, really good. Mozart is like you could record it and put it on CD. But then the second round is already okay, still good. But the third round, which is the most important, with these solos, there's a lot of times like, really, what are you doing? The most important things there are timing, intonation, everything. Like, it has to be really, really perfect. So I think a lot of candidates should reverse this and start first good, second even better, and the third one the best.
Yes, as we are talking now about these orchestra excerpts, I would like to ask you what they should do when they have really, really plenty of empty bars between. So they should count and wait, or they cut it and they just go on. What are kind of practice that you expect from them? Maybe Anna, you can start.
Well, it depends how long the break is. If it's possible to count, then I would suggest counting. But usually we or other orchestras, we mark a cut. So it's clear that it's not needed to count 20 bars. And if it's just something in between, if it's like 4 bars that are slow, but you could count them, but you don't want to look stupid when everyone is waiting for you, I would then just put down my violin and show clearly that I am not counting this and then move on. Yeah.
Franc, what do you think?
Well, I would say if it's connected to the phrase and you have like few bars, and it's important how you manage with, for example, in the brass with the mutes, so that you show up how you can do this in a fast tempo or quick change, then it makes sense. But like Anna said, if it's a long break, obviously I mean, every serious candidate during the long process of years of preparation for auditions will solve this question for sure in a most musical and most logical way.
Yes, yes, true, yes. And Matej, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with colleagues 100%. If there are short breaks between the music, you should count them really, really carefully. And don't usually, because the candidate is nervous, it's a little bit of rushing, right? And these short breaks are really, really important to count them correctly. But if there is let's say, more than 5-6 seconds of break, you should just go on.
And
yeah, that's
what is usually used for this orchestra audition is these golden books from Peter's edition. We usually take excerpts from these books, and there is already very well organized everything, so it's very clear how to deliver the performance.
I see. And the candidate gets probably quite a long list of preparing this orchestra excerpts. So usually at the audition, do they play everything, or you actually pick by candidates, or that all candidates play the same picked excerpt?
Who should start? Me?
Yeah, maybe at Matej.
Yeah, I can say for flute we had an audition 1 or 2 months ago. I think there were 22, 23 solos, and we picked, let's say, 6, 7 of them, and every candidate played the same solos. It was the same solos for every candidate, 6 or 7 of them. Actually 1/3 of them.
I see. Anna, how was the for string players usually?
In our orchestra, we don't have a lot of excerpts. So basically they always play everything. It's about 6 to 7 again, but maybe it can happen that the president of the committee would choose to put one of the excerpts into the first or the second round. So it's not necessary that they are all played in the order or in the third round, but with us, usually they are all played, yes.
Understand. So they need to be flexible also in kind of this
Yeah. It can happen, not often, but it can.
I see. And
Yeah.
you, Franc?
About the amount of excerpts.
Yeah, if they, for the brass players, if they prepare all the list of,
Yeah, usually,
list, yeah.
It depends to the person who is preparing this audition program. Just recently was announced in our orchestra, because I'm taking sabbatical year, for example, my colleague prepared not such a big list, but it's a very diverse list of pieces where you can really have a lot of hard work to prepare them and show in a short amounts, like I said, your qualities. So, but usually at the end of the audition, if there is just selection of a few excerpts of what you must prepare.
I see. I just go back a little bit about the first round and second round. So usually most of instrumentalists are playing concertos on first and second round. Okay, first round is behind the curtain, so you don't see what actually they do. But how about that you see them playing by score? Does it bother you, or it's totally fine for you?
For me, it's totally fine.
For me too.
For me too. I don't see the logic that we would take into account if someone can play by heart when we all play from scores in the orchestra.
Understand, yeah.
Yeah, in orchestra, you're playing from the scores all the time, so there's really no need to play by heart in the audition. It's much more important that you can read really quick the music, because every week is a new music coming, and I think it's much more important that you're a quick reader of this music.
So how many usually how many people are typically on the audition committee, Matej? What, for example, when you had this flute audition?
I think that for solo position, I think it's more people involved, but I think there was 15 people, Franc, right?
Well, in our orchestra years ago, not so long ago, was a very small amount of people, like 6-7 people was for audition, but it's changed. So now we usually have around 15 people, 15 votes for almost each audition. It's very, very precise, organized in our orchestra, but it's also our orchestra. We don't know how it's in the other here in Slovenia or north in other places in Europe. So it's up to the orchestra how the rules are structured.
Of course,
yeah, I think every orchestra has its own rules, right?
Yeah.
What I miss in my orchestra is that there's no vote from the orchestra.
Yeah.
Orchestra should have a vote too, but anyway.
They have for concertmaster.
Yeah, just concertmaster. For example, solo flute, there were just 15 people. Actually, all the solo positions, almost all the solo positions, and you just vote 8-7. It's and also the second. If you want to come to the second round, you need to have 50% of the votes. Am I right? I think so.
Yeah.
And if you're going to win the audition, you need to have 2/3 of all
the
votes. Votes, yeah.
For winning, you need 100% or?
No,
2/3.
For winning, it's 2/3.
But this is our orchestra.
Yeah. So what kind of personality are you looking as member of orchestra? Like, okay, you've already talked a lot, like this flexibility, but if you specifically could tell us, Franc?
Well, when look in the mirror, something like myself, you know. No, no, I'm joking. I'm the most important in orchestra. I think is I see it like so the section where it's very important that you have some normal relation, that you're good colleagues in a positive way. You don't need to be best friends, but you need, because every day you come to this job and it can be very tense sometimes, very demanding. So it's nice if you sit in the orchestra with the nice colleagues, where some some nice humor can exist on everyday basis, you know. You don't need I would say very directly, an asshole pointing out that you missed some note or you play out of tune, right? Just go away. Or somebody who feels too good to be there, you know, just happen to stuck there in between. So a normal personality, very, how to say, devoted to this profession, yeah, who loves this profession, but normal guy or girl. You can talk about everything if you need to. That's my perspective.
Anna, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I agree with Franz. I mean, for sure, we are all looking for someone that's normal and yet devoted to the profession, that likes to play, that is not someone that makes disagreements with someone or gets into fights, but maybe still someone that has his own personality and he seems like an individual, so he's not a complete how to say, puppy that's yes, like that puppet that can just follow everything and copies, so you can still see that he has his own opinion or her own opinion, but somehow is flexible or able to adapt. But I think that it's different for orchestras also, the culture, I mean, where the orchestra is positioned in. I'm sure that there are some differences what we are looking for and then what someone in America might be looking for, but I'm pretty sure no one wants a difficult person to deal with that causes problems.
And Matej, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with my colleagues. I think we are looking for normal people. Normal people. You know, in the orchestra we have, I don't know, 100 members. So that means 100 different personalities. If you take like 100 members, they're sure that there are few of them with really extreme thinking, extreme personality, but that's the way it is. If the person is more normal and, like the colleague said, devoted to the music they are going to do, I think there's absolutely no problem with that.
So, I continue with other question. What matters more for you, accuracy or artistry for an orchestra audition? Maybe Anna, you can start.
I think that being artistic in the real sense also means that you are accurate. So it doesn't all have to be square, but somehow you cannot say, oh, I'm such an artist, when you don't know the rhythm or you play out of tune or you hear the string crosses in our case. So I would say that being artistry, that this just takes it all. So, but it's important to be accurate, but it's a part of it. So, yeah.
That's true. I agree with Anna. You need to be really in time if you want to play in orchestra. Without the good timing, that's absolutely not job for you. That's the basic. Then the second thing is you need to have really good ears to adopt, because every chord is differently, right? You need to adopt to thousands of different situations. So timing, good hearing, and then after that, musicality and all things that goes with it. Yeah, I think it's the complex thing that every musician should be doing while playing.
Yeah.
I also agree with both my colleagues, and I would add the third element, so good rhythm, good ears, and devotion to work on this every day. Every day, and never sit back and say, okay, I'm now here and now I can relax. So to stay in line for the rest of the orchestra career. That's.
Yeah, thank you. So participants, please feel free to ask a question if you have any. Don't hesitate, and this is the chance to grab, so really go for it. So I'm continuing with the question. What advice do you have for the mental preparation before audition? So maybe Franz, can you start?
For mental, yeah, there are many good things, maybe from pharmaceutical side, or which can help, beta blockers or some drugs or whatever can calm you down. But it's it's the easy way, and it's a long. No, it's short way. I don't have some useful advice. I think it's the run on the long term, and you should start as early as possible. If you are interested in orchestra playing, you should start to prepare all these excerpts as soon as possible. If you are technically prepared, and start to discover this music, and just go for auditions. I was lucky enough that I got, like, in the second audition, I got this wonderful position. After I went to some other places, these places were either too big, or I went just without any good reason, and it didn't work. And I heard from my colleague who did more than 20 auditions in her career, and she landed in the fantastic orchestra, but it was not the last step, and she was really wishing to land in another orchestra because of the life. It happened. So I think you must be very convinced that this position you are applying is something for you, and be ready to see the longer path, the longer journey, that you will profit anyway, even if you don't get this job. Somewhere it will be. So stay calm, keep practice.
So do you suggest that this practicing also orchestra excerpts, like diary, not like only for the audition, but like through the study years?
I think it should be like if you're really interested, it should be on the daily basis, or you should devote some time to discovering this music, because it doesn't mean only these excerpts. You need to know the whole symphony, the whole piece, the composer, the era, and it's a very small part of possibility. The orchestra. There is a lot of orchestra, but very small jobs are available. So it's just one little possibility for career. It's very narrow. So the music has a lot of diverse possibilities. And if you want to take a shot in this, and be ready not to win a job, and to study really hard.
Yeah. Matej, what do you think?
Unmute.
Sorry. I must say I slightly disagree with Franz here. Don't do any drug, don't do any tablets before you go to the stage, because if you need to eat tablets or anything else, that's not job for you. No? So
it's a joke.
I suggest you what I'm doing after all these years. It's not meditation, it's not anything like yoga. I don't do this thing which doesn't mean it's bad thing. I think it's good thing, but for me, it's the best thing. It's visualization. You know, after all these years, I can feel exactly how will I be doing on the stage at that moment. So I know that my heart rate will rise up. I know that I will be nervous, and I'm trying to visualize this before, much before I do some important concert or audition, whatever. And that helps me a lot. So at that time, when I come to the stage, I just rethink, okay, my body is responding in that way. I need to just calm down. I'm just doing visualizations, a lot of visualizations, much before, and a lot of them, not just one, few days before important concert. I play the whole concert just in my mind, you know. That helps me a lot. Then do a lot of sports, mental preparation, physical preparation, that's all, which is very important, I think.
Interesting. Yes, I also think this visualization is really helping to prevent what can happen on the stage. So Anna, what do you think?
Well, I agree that visualization is quite useful. I mean, I noticed that on myself because in the past, when I was preparing for concerts, I was always like, oh no, but then I will come on stage and I will trip and then I will make a mistake and blah, blah. And I was so focused on that it actually then was starting to happen. So at some point I changed the logic and I imagined something else. And I think that it's also useful to, maybe it's similar to what Matej said, to practice the stressful situations. So actually also when you play at home, you somehow imagine that you are there and it will for sure make you stressed. You are always safe in your room when you practice, but even if you record yourself and you don't want to hear if you played out of tune, it can get you stressed. So I would say that, and basically whatever someone does for a normal performance, because audition is still just a performance, maybe in a different way, but it's still a performance. You need to go there and do your best. And yeah, just maybe try not to go to auditions to try if maybe I will have a good day and so on, or maybe, yeah, this will be okay. I would say that if you decide to go on audition, you should really decide to go pass it. And then if you don't, it's still a good experience. But if you go with a mindset that is just, I will try and I will see, then you don't put the effort that it's needed into it. So maybe also that.
So yes, I have to say again, it was just a very, very honest joke. There is no short way with the drugs. But it's really the good preparation. And now I just remembered when you said, Anna, that the auditions I won, I went with a really, really strong positive feeling and with a good preparation. It must be the preparation is the basis of everything, and then the staying in the moment, not thinking about mistakes, not thinking about how should I charm them, just say it in the moment what you know. It can bring you near to the positive result. It's way better.
Thank you. It's really probably helpful for candidates who are going to experience these old auditions. It's I see that they are very stressful on the stage, and I think it will help them a lot, your advices. So we are kind of getting close to the end. If you have any questions, just write on chat, or put the hands up. If not, I actually got some few questions from the students who couldn't be with us today. So I'm going to ask you the question. Just let me find it. So the question is, what separates the winner of the audition from the others who do not pass it, knowing the fact of a very high level of musicians who are invited? So, Franc?
Just in the recent audition I was member, I preferred a candidate with a very good accuracy and maybe not so dominant artistry. I somehow preferred, but then at the end won the artistry part of a performance. So maybe this, at the end, the artistry side wins over the all other aspects.
Understand, yeah. And Matej?
There's one thing which is very important when you go for audition. I have a lot of students which are saying, "Oh, I'm going to try this audition. I'm going to see what happens." Blah blah. If you say, "I'm going to try this audition," that's completely wrong. It's a waste of time, and you will never win this audition. The right way is, when you're applying for audition, it's to say, "I'm going to win this audition," not try. It's all inside your head, it's attitude. It's the attitude when you start preparing for the audition. Go like 100%. No, I'm just going to try and see. I think it's waste of time. Like Franc said, when you are there at the top and there's just one winner and all others are losers. That's the point in audition. It's really hard and it's not fair, but that's the way life is, right? And be really focused before you start preparing really hard to audition, and then all three aspects which we were talking about before, timing, intonation, everything must be. You need to be the best of it.
Thank you. And the end, Anna?
I think my colleagues said quite a lot already. I would say that there's no answer that we could actually give, because it also depends on the jury. I mean, we also have 2 principal flutists, 2 concertmasters, blah, blah, blah. So if the committee changes, also the result might change. We all have our personal preferences. I'm sure that we are all looking for the perfect package and that it's the best, but as Franc was saying, it happens that the committee is just divided somehow in half, and both are good, but some people prefer this, some people prefer that, and then it's just one vote, and it's sometimes luck, it's sometimes a good day. We also don't know if we make a right decision when we actually vote. We see that after a year, maybe. So there is no, I don't think there's an answer what separates one from the other. Just somehow you can see that someone is better, and if 2 are approximately the same, then usually it's just one vote that makes the decision. So yeah.
I would add just a little thing. It's the best if the musician shows up, not himself, but the music itself. Sometimes we see through the music showing themselves as an instrumentalist, but you're always servant of the music. You're just a little part of the big picture. So if you're able to follow this, maybe it can take you further also.
Thank you. Very nicely said, I think. We are all servants of music, yes. Okay, so I think we are time to the end this webinar. If you have any questions, I mean, this is the last time. If not, then we are finishing this webinar. So thank you, Anna, Matej, and Franc, for sharing your knowledge and thought with us today. It was very, very useful, I think.
Thank you
And,
for inviting us.
Yeah,
No.
thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
invitation.
So
Thank you.
now, yeah, we are continuing with another webinar, also talking about orchestra audition with underused Matej Kuder and Petra Kovacic from Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra and Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra. We are continuing at 3 o'clock. So thank you for all attending to this webinar. I hope you had really learned a lot from this webinar, and I wish you all the best for the future audition. Thank you so much.